Oh no, Dave, run! It's Godzilla!
Gojira!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Franchise Unpacked. I'm your host, Zachary.
And I'm your other host, David Ree.
David Ree.
That's my full name.
We were just talking about just how much crap is flying around in the air.
It's finally getting beautiful out.
I feel like I sound like The Walking Dead.
Literally, these last couple minutes, I can tell how congested you've become. We came in here.
And I do have my windows open too.
They're mowing the lawn outside.
Yeah, they're mowing the lawn, and I got my Canada Dry here though. And
it's a beautiful day out.
Yeah, we got some Canada Dry. Dave's got his Star Wars shirt on.
I do.
And we got it's just we got some good stuff
today.
For you.
A big one.
Yeah, no pun intended.
No pun intended.
And I don't know if I ended up leaving it or not. But you were talking about on the topic of like hay fever and allergies. Can you tell that story again?
Yeah, I was listening to one of my podcasts earlier. It's called No Joke on the HeadGum Network. Very funny. But it was an old episode. They were talking about superheroes, and they got on the topic of Batman, and they were talking about, one of the hosts was like, "Oh, I'm not too familiar with Batman, but if you could go into it," and the other guy starts talking about the villains. He's like, "Oh yeah, well you got Two-Face. They're all just regular humans. They're not superhumans, most of them." He's like, "They just fell into a vat of oil and became Two-Face."
Right.
Then you've got your Joker. He fell into a vat of chemicals and became Joker. And then you got your Scarecrow. He fell into a vat of hay and became Scarecrow. Like that's pretty much it.
Falling into a vat of hay.
Falling into a vat of hay.
But yeah, so that's what our conversations have been.
That's where we've been. Yeah,
hay fever and other podcasts.
Right, as good podcast hosts do. But today we've got a big old, about a 400-foot tall. Topic. Depending on which era you're in.
Yeah.
But we are talking about Godzilla.
Yes.
Godzilla, the king of all monsters.
Which, okay, so I want to start this one. Normally, we always talk about like what our past is and what our first experience was with Godzilla.
Yep.
What was your first experience with Gojira?
I think the very first experience I had, I couldn't even tell you which movie it was because there have been about 35 films.
Yeah.
I think total.
Well over 30,
there's the whole era from like the 50s through the 60s of just, I think they were pumping them out, Godzilla versus Mothra, King of the Monsters.
Very
versus
clearly
King Kong.
just a guy in a suit.
And it was, they were basically the same movies of a guy in a suit walking around a set. So I saw them. I remember they used to play them a lot on the Sci-Fi Channel during like Thanksgiving.
Right.
So during those like holiday breaks, and I just, you could just turn the TV on and see Godzilla wrecking a town.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you where I saw it. But one of the first major memories was the 1990s movie with Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, 98, right?
98. Yeah, they did. That was one of the first, if I recall, like really heavy viral marketing for a movie.
Oh yeah,
marketing,
it was huge.
Because that was even before. I remember like in 99, people were buying tickets just so they could go see the Star Wars trailer, because that's what you had to do. You couldn't even see a trailer on, like they wouldn't show movie trailers on TV.
Right.
You couldn't go to YouTube. So, but I remember they showed a picture in New York. They had this big spread on a building. So, and you saw Godzilla's tail, and it's like coming summer 98 or whatever. And you were like, ooh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
And it was the first time where there were set pictures popping up. So there became this. Now you can't look at it online because like Avengers vaccine pictures. Look at the costumes they're in.
Right.
That's like a whole thing now.
For a second, I thought you said Avengers vaccine pictures.
Well, it's important to get vaccinated.
Vaccines cause Avengers.
Vaccines cause superpowers. I feel like we should try and get that going.
That would be an incredible viral marketing campaign.
Absolutely.
Vaccines cause superpowers.
But yeah, so what about yours? What was your first memory?
So mine was similar. For me, so I would have been 8 years old when that came out in theaters. And I went to go see it with my dad because we were like, okay, we're going to have like a guy's day and go see Godzilla.
It's kind of a big deal.
And I think that was the movie where in the opening credits, it shows him like swimming through like the ocean and all this stuff. Isn't that one? That had to have been.
I remember there were clips. There were all these like staticky, weird clips of atomically colored lizards. It was like quick shots.
Yes.
Quick shots.
And then it would cut to him swimming. So, or her in that one swimming. I remember 8-year-old me was scared to death of that.
Oh, I bet.
And I asked my dad, I was like, I don't know, should we leave the theater? I don't know if I can do this. And I almost got up and left, and he convinced me. He's like, no, you'll be all right. Like, and so I stayed and watched it and fell in love with that movie. I had such a good time. Yeah, it was.
I think I liked it too at the time. It does not hold up.
Oh, not even a little bit.
It is not a good film. If you watch it, it makes zero sense.
I watched it a while ago. It's awful.
I can't believe an entire city loses that thing multiple times. How do you, like, what are we even talking about? But we'll get into that.
Yeah, so it was, but when I was, to an 8-year-old, and at the time, like, that CGI looked incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I was all about it. I bought every action figure. I bought, I don't know if
I had I had an action figure. I had the Godzilla, and you could hit one of the scales on the back, and it could scream.
Yeah.
Yep, that was cool. But so the Godzilla got its start well before 98. About 40 years prior, a little over 40 years, in 1954, the first film came out.
Yep.
A Japanese film, and it was created by, I apologize if I butcher these names, Tomoyuki Tanaka, Ishiro Honda, and Eiji Tsuburaya.
I think you actually did pretty well.
I think I did okay.
And,
but yeah.
And originally it was actually, and I'm sure you have this in your notes too, it was called Gojira.
Gojira, yeah. Do you know why?
I had it written down somewhere, but it was like inspired from a couple different words, right?
Yeah, a combination of two animals, Gojira, and the other word is, Gojira, Gorira, which is gorilla, and I think Jira, which is whale.
And wasn't it named, like, somebody in their office or something was named, like, he had a nickname that they called him Gojira? Something
like that. I remember reading that they were when they were doing the, development for the character and, like, the script writing, they were like, they described it as the size of a gorilla, the size of a whale.
Right.
In a hybrid. So it's not exactly King Kong,
Well, and that was the thing too, is it was super, super heavily inspired from the success of King Kong.
Absolutely.
And the other sort of big inspiration from it was a movie called The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of combined those two inspirations, and they made this new character, this new beast, which in the original storyboards he was actually like a giant monster octopus.
Okay.
Like that was his original design.
I think that would have forced him to stay in the sea. It would have been less fun. I mean, they could have had him crawl up on land. But the cool thing is, too, I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of this, but being from less than 10 years after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's truly what inspired Godzilla, was the advancement of nuclear war and the use of it and the terror of that. So it was almost like you're seeing this, because Godzilla is originally, the original concept of Godzilla is he is a prehistoric monster, deep, like 20,000 fathoms, very deep under the sea. Also, he is awoken and intensified by the nuclear testing and nuclear devices being used by humanity. Right. So it amps him up. He gets pissed, goes on to the nearest city, which just so happens to be Tokyo, and wrecks it. What you're hearing now, folks, is a lawnmower outside, a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, like... We're recording this like 20 minutes earlier than we normally do. So it's still light out. Yeah, and we didn't realize there'd be lawnmowers going by.
But so if you hear a little something, it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, it won't be too bad. Just
on it.
Little peek behind
We'll talk over it.
But I thought that was really interesting, though. They kind of had that allegory to nuclear weapons and that type of destruction. And
which I like. I like it, not saying that Godzilla's the bad guy in that sense, but he has no qualm. He is only after humanity. He's after their cities to prove a point. In later films, in fact, maybe even after the very first one, he becomes this anti-hero.
Yeah, he's like kind of the protector of Earth, but he also will destroy it.
He's a protector, but at the same time, he has like, whoops, my tail's swinging. Right. It's kind of like he's a drunk hero.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure how well I feel about that, because especially, and we'll get into it for the future of the franchise, because the new movie is coming out in about a month. And they're really hounding in the trailer that we're like, we are... And in the movie that came out in 2014 as well with Bryan Cranston, briefly. Spoiler alert, that was a total tease, having Bryan Cranston in the trailer. Oh my gosh,
wait, it comes out on the 31st.
Oh, this month?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I'm glad we're doing this.
It's going to be, so it will come out the day this episode airs.
Perfect.
Wow, look at that. That was not even planned, you guys.
Nailed it. But I'm just not sure if I enjoy the idea of like, now there's a whole government agency tracking Godzilla just to keep him in like where he's at. Because you remember that scene where they showed like all those battleships out in the middle of the ocean. They're like, this is where he is. He's right under us. We're just following him.
Right.
And they had this helicopter. I'm like, I don't know if Godzilla would care for that personally. Right. I'd be like, get out of swatting flies.
But also, if he's like this ancient, so originally before we get into that,
they signed a contract with him. Yeah, it's weird.
But he might just not care if he's been around since the dawn of time. Like, because originally, I don't know if you had seen this, and this was just some cool stuff that I gathered through my research, but Originally, he was supposed to be a dinosaur.
Okay.
That was called a Godzillasaurus.
Okay.
And he survived the mass extinction. And then when they were when they were dropping H bombs, that's what mutated him into Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why, he has his two main moves. He has like that energy beam.
Yep, that he charges up.
And then he has, in some of the earlier movies, he has this like nuclear blast.
Oh,
like
yeah,
he
like
can,
a seismic
yeah,
burst.
Yeah. And it's, so, which again, there's another parallel to the whole nuclear weapon.
Yeah, it's
thing,
like basically he has a bomb going off without all the horror burning.
Right.
Like without all the fallout. He's basically the effect of the bomb minus the fallout. I mean, because he can still blast radiation in your face. And I bet even imagine like they probably have a thing where if you're even standing next to him, you're just being constantly cancer imbued. Like you're just being rocked
he just
by
absorbs
radiation.
it and
he can channel it.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he can absorb and channel radiation is pretty crazy.
Which I think is it's a very interesting, I guess, character point, because you don't see things like that too frequently, where it's like this giant monster. I mean, before Godzilla anyway, you didn't see it too frequently, that can absorb radiation, spit it back out, and is sort of this, there's a
like a
Japanese
dino dragon.
There's a Japanese word for it.
Is it
kaiju?
Kaiju, yeah.
Kaiju,
which
yeah.
I was going to get into because of, especially those of you who've heard Pacific Rim or have seen Pacific Rim.
I actually haven't seen that.
The first one's very good. Second one's not so good. But they talk about those kaiju. It's the term they use.
Okay.
Which I believe was inspired by Godzilla. It basically means giant monster, usually destroying a city.
Right.
It's kind of that thematic. Yeah. And I think they use it in that movie. Literally, that's the term they use. But I don't think it's specifically co-opted by that movie. I think it's a term, a blanket term in
well,
life.
And it makes sense because, when you see, if you look throughout history, especially with film, but really any type of art medium, the art is reflecting the perils of society at the time.
Yeah.
So like with all the war and everything going on, of course, the monster is some nuclear radiated monster, same as when all of the, when terrorism started to kind of run amok in the early 2000s, what did we see a ton of? Superhero movies.
Yeah.
They started popping up everywhere because people wanted a hero. They wanted to be saved from that. So I think that we will always see those types of parallels. Like,
oh, sure.
Whatever.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Art is life. So,
Exactly. So I guess that's the one way that I can sort of see why they.
And it's kind of a double-edged sword when you bring it up that way. You're like, oh yeah, nuclear war, bad. But it does give creativity. Like the writers literally, had never seen it 10 years prior, were like, that was their first experience with a nuclear blast, and it probably inspired them that moment. But before that, they're like, well, monsters, they're just prehistoric. They just exist, or they're hiding in caves for, they've been around.
Right.
It's like, now we got one and we powered it up. Like, it's you're adding a whole new ball game.
And actually, I was just thinking about this. So, he was supposed to be a dinosaur. Apparently, he actually had a dinosaur, like a real dinosaur, named after him.
Really?
And it's I'm going to butcher this, Gojirasaurus guayi.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a dinosaur.
Okay.
That is named after Godzilla.
Well, that's awesome.
Which is just so neat. I wish that I had can you imagine making a film franchise that eventually gets dinosaurs named after it?
You're like, we're going to use it for science. Well, it's like kryptonite being used as like an element. You're like, oh, that's neat. So kind of like
one day there will be a franchise Unpackedosaurus.
Yeah, the franchise. That's what we can hope for.
That's one day.
Another cool thing that I found out during research was the cool thing that makes this an awesome franchise is the crossover. It's in all different types of media,
right?
A lot of books, comic books, and this is what really caught my eye. They've fought, or the Avengers have fought Godzilla.
Yeah,
as well as the Fantastic Four, agents, not the characters of Shield. Several Shield characters have, and which is kind of cool. So he's been co-opted. I'm not sure if Marvel owns the rights to him, because I feel like they have their own comic book.
They
now.
ended up changing. Actually, somebody on Reddit. I'm just going to give their Reddit name. So thank you to Only on VHS. I'm just going to read this verbatim. They said when Marvel Comics lost the license for Godzilla, they still secretly kept him in their stories by changing his appearance and never referring to him by name. And so let me see here. It says Dr. Demonicus.
Demonicus?
Demonicus?
Maybe from
Demonicus? No, it doesn't. the main antagonist from Marvel's Godzilla series.
Oh, okay. I was
There
going
we
to say,
go.
like, I don't think
Demonicus?
I don't remember him in the Avengers movie.
Demonicus, goodness gracious. He said he captures him off panel and surgically alters his body, calling him his once great enemy, to kind of like key readers in on the secret.
So they morphed him.
Yeah, so it said Godzilla actually stuck around on Earth 616 for 20 plus years this way before being finally killed off by the X-Men. So thank you to Only on VHS on Reddit for that.
Yeah.
That was super interesting to me.
I had no idea about that and especially now because I believe Universal Studios owns Godzilla and who's producing the new films.
I think so.
So that would be a huge conflict of interest with Marvel.
But I mean, Godzilla, he had his own stretch of comics from 77 to 79. I mean, it was like a full-blown Godzilla Marvel series.
And I almost wonder if that's when they really started retconning, because you can't have a 2-year comic book where it's just he smashes more buildings.
Right.
There's got to be characters, like main characters, human characters driving the story.
And I think that's when we started to see more of the Avengers fighting him and X-Men fighting him, or X-Men I think was later, but
and the incorporation of the humanity then following him and having him help us when necessary.
Right.
It's and when now I'm kind of going back to that whole anti-hero. This is the introduction of all the other monsters into the universe, like Mothra. You've got Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
Who was created, I think, to fight Godzilla.
Space Godzilla, I think
Godzilla is one. Now, Hydra. I believe Hydra is his main. If there was a main nemesis.
See, I would think. I think that.
And I think Mothra is a good guy.
But I think Ghidorah is actually the main. From everything that I saw, it seemed like Ghidorah. Because they kept referring to Ghidorah as King Ghidorah.
Now, they're all in the new movie. The newest one coming out. We see Mothra fly. We see the Hydra like flashes behind ice where I think Hydra's frozen. You see all the heads. It kind of looks like the Targaryen flag.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because and that's the thing. Ghidorah looks incredible.
But yet again, it's another where they are throwing Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things all over the trailer. She's probably in it for 10 damn minutes.
You think so?
Well, they did that with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, they did.
That really, really upset me.
You know what though? I gotta give credit where credit is due. They showed him a lot in the trailer, and I was actually like, I was bummed that he died so early in the movie. Which, sorry,
literally
spoilers.
After you see him in this,
I don't know that we need to say spoiler alert.
Yeah,
it's
been 5 years.
We might throw a spoiler alert up. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a new one coming out in a week. So sorry,
but
and it is in that track. It is a sequel to that film,
right? I was bummed that they killed off Bryan Cranston so quick. But I also felt kind of satisfied because I was like, sometimes when you see a trailer, you feel like you've seen the whole movie, and with that one, I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot to this movie that I had no idea.
But there really wasn't a lot to that movie because it was just another Godzilla movie. Literally, beat for beat, another Godzilla movie. Although
I enjoyed
I did enjoy parts of it, but the man, for a Godzilla movie, he was not in it enough. Godzilla. Like literally,
I agree with that.
They showed too much, and then they just kept showing these overhead map views of the two other weird looking dumb monsters.
The Muto?
Yeah. Those were so it was like two skin covered legs. Just legs crawling at you. And I was like, when you have and Godzilla looked so good. It's almost like you could tell they focused all the money on it. Because he looked like a lot closer to the original iteration.
Right.
Like the guy in the suit. But it was badass.
Well, and I think that I definitely enjoyed the first Godzilla more than you did.
I think so.
Judging by this conversation, I think so. Tell. But I think the thing for me was it felt like a true origin story. Like Like I was okay seeing all that random exposition and all the
I would have loved
building.
with all the exposition, especially in like the 80s or whatever when Bryan Cranston lost his wife.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see him throughout more of the movie go out like the same because he gets extreme radiation poisoning, I think, and dies from that. So it's kind of in the same vein.
No, he doesn't die from that. He dies from that one.
Does he get crushed?
Yeah, he gets crushed.
Oh, when they all start acting up. Yeah, the other monsters.
Yeah.
So, but it's like literally like you see him in a couple flashbacks, and then the son goes back to meet him where he gets crushed or whatever.
Yeah,
I think, and it's like that's literally the only scene we get of him in present day. Right. And it's just like enough to spurn the son, and I'm like, you don't need this because there's a monster. I don't know.
I would have loved it though if they could have. I think one thing that they could have done more with that movie is gone back and forth from past to present a little bit more,
or all in the 80s. The new one coming out, then we bring it into present
Sure.
day. We bring it into present day or something along those lines because, and now we're kind of in the present. I think it's safe to say we're talking about, like it's in comic books now. It's in a lot of other franchises. But I think that with Kong Skull Island, did you see Kong Skull Island?
Let's talk about Kong Skull Island.
Came out a couple years ago. Very bad movie.
And some people that I've talked to, and like, if the fine gentlemen in my group chat hear this, they will probably dislike me for this because they really enjoyed Kong Skull Island.
Why?
Most of them. I don't.
What about it?
I can see it from the point of view of if you were going into a movie to just watch a high octane giant beast throw stuff around.
I guess.
But I think that's maybe what they were targeting toward. When I saw it, I saw it when I went on vacation. I was on vacation in LA.
Okay.
And I went to go see it with my buddy Kevin. Hey, Kevin, if you're listening, what's up, man?
Kevin.
And I almost walked out of the theater. I have never, very rarely anyway, have I had the thought of, I am so not enjoying myself. Like I would rather go do something else with my time.
Spoiler alert for this.
Spoiler alert for
because don't see
Call.
It. But we'll bring up why we're talking about Kong Skull Island in a second here. But the first 10 minutes, you see doing the helicopter thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, get the hell out of there. You just saw this giant ape crush 3 of your buddy helicopters. Why are we still flying at this thing? He's throwing larger than life trees at you. What are we even talking? And then after that, it just gets dumber and it was star-studded too. You had Samuel L. Jackson. You had Brie Larson, which I think they put Brie Larson in there because they already knew they had her signed on for Captain Marvel, but they needed to, her manager and agent were like, we got to get you in a few action movies to prove that you can do this to all the trolls online.
Well, and the acting was fine, but
Tom Hiddleston.
Do
you remember the slow motion gas machete sequence when they're holding like those smoke grenades and it's like they're slow motion running like chopping bad guys with machete? That was it's not even dumb action movie enjoyable. It was like, how did this straight up get
Dave
made?
Is pissed.
I am. I mean, like if I want to watch like a dumber than life action movie, you watch like Commando, an old Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's using one arm to hold like 3 dudes up at once.
Right.
Sure. But when it's like,
it was too on that brink of.
And then now we're talking about Kong Skull Island because it is rumored that I believe after this new movie coming out, Kong is going to fight Godzilla. It's going to be Godzilla versus King Kong.
Okay, yeah,
so
I did. Yeah,
they made the Kong Skull Island movie to directly fit into, because Universal has no idea how to make a universe.
Right.
They can't do it with the horror movies. They're screwing it up with the Godzilla because you already screwed up your one offshoot of King Kong.
Right.
Which would be like, it's basically the Batman versus Superman of these monster movies, and you've already ruined it.
Don't get me wrong. I hope they do it right. I hope that when they come back with it.
Kong Skull Island took place in like 79 or something, or 80. It takes place in the past, which is why I think they should have made the first Godzilla movie in the same time period.
Well, and beyond that, I think that once we get a new director on, you know what I mean? Because I think that Kong Skull Island had a lot of potential.
Awesome design.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yes.
CGI was incredible.
Very good. And the little monsters that were dumb and fighting King Kong, it made him become another anti-hero.
Right.
Which you're like, I loved it. Like, wreck these humans. But
like you were saying, though, it's going to tie into this Godzilla universe.
Yeah.
Not with this, as far as we know anyway, it's not going to happen with this next movie.
And I mean, that's what was announced about a year when Kong came out. Who knows what'll happen?
Right. I'm sure there'll be some sort of teaser to it, like some allusion to it. But I guess I'm just wondering, like, how are they going to meet? You know what I mean?
Well, it's the idea of, do they pull what they should have done? I don't know, but you can't do it in the past. It didn't make sense for the first movie. It's the idea of the whole plot of the original King Kong is they go to Skull Island to bring him back as entertainment. Right. They bring him back, and guess what? It goes wrong.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, unless you get Godzilla to Skull Island or somehow.
Was it just me? And this will be the last thing that we talk about Skull Island, because I know it's not Godzilla. But did he change size like 15 times in that movie?
King Kong?
Yeah.
Probably.
I just noticed, I was like, one time he looked like he was maybe 50 feet, then he was like 100 feet tall. And then he would
get big when he needed to be.
Yeah.
I remember the King Kong movie, and we're kind of digressing, but made by Peter Jackson. Where it was like a 3-hour movie.
I never saw that one.
It's long, but it's traditional. It takes place in the time period, the 30s or 20s or whatever. And that King Kong was only about maybe 30 to 50 feet big,
Sure,
as I remember.
sure.
Which is kind of appropriate for the city of that size at the time.
Right.
The Empire State Building was your largest building at
Right.
100 some odd stories.
Let's just, I mean, really, if you want to just watch a good, King Kong movie, just go back and watch Mighty Joe Young.
That's correct. Disney's Mighty Joe Young. It is the best of all monster movies.
The absolute best.
It is the
Little
best.
tearjerker.
Very good.
But anyway, moving on from giant apes, I think from what I've seen in the trailers anyway, I think that
For the new
second,
Godzilla movie.
for the new Godzilla coming out today when you guys are listening to this, I think that it has potential to be much, and I liked the first one. I think it has potential to be much, much better than the first one and to be of a larger scale. But I think we need to go into it realizing that we are watching a monster fights monster movie.
Yes, but I'm glad at least that it's other cooler looking monsters this time.
Right.
Because it's like with the first movie, they're like, we're doing this.
Right.
We're not though. Like, because I have
it was-
expected to see Mothra or somebody pop
Right.
up. I don't know.
I will say though, I am kind of glad that they decided to introduce a new monster, just because we never saw Muto before. But
True, but it could have looked a lot better. Now,
Yeah.
I don't remember what the monsters on Kong Skull Island look like, but they did resemble that thing that Godzilla fought, and I'm almost
kinda
wondering if
did,
it was
yeah.
like a tie-in.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think about that,
because they
yeah.
were all like these weird, like looked like three-legged. That's all I remember, like
Right.
these big ass legs,
Yeah.
like weird leg monsters. Yeah, and it's just kind of plays in that like we do another or a cool idea. We kind of how are you going to bring King Kong to meet Godzilla
right.
in this new movie or another Godzilla movie, the next one after
that-
this?
or I
what
mean-
you do is you have a group of a government that's saying we don't like what Godzilla's doing. We're going to bring this other and the whole movie
Right.
you keep seeing these shots of something in a cage being brought across the sea to fight because Godzilla's already doing something else, and then he's the King Kong becomes the third act.
What if King Kong, comes by his own accord, and in the
how?
in the final hour he's fighting?
Swimming? Is he swimming across?
I guess he could swim.
That's all. Cause Skull Island is off all maps. That's the
Yeah, that's
idea.
true, that's
so
true.
who knows? I don't know. I
Who
think
knows
it's
how
the
they'll-
idea that he has to be brought. He doesn't want to leave Skull Island because
Right.
it's his home.
That's true. But I mean, I don't know. I'm so excited to see what they do with all these new monsters,
Yeah.
and it just judging by the trailer alone, it looks like they kind of found their groove with it. Although I will say my favorite scene in the first one, and this just made me think of it. So we used to do this like, when they're diving out of the plane and it's like they have like the flares on. You can see
going through the clouds,
yeah.
then you see its back, and
And
you're
so-
like, whoa!
and they have
That's
like
so cool.
They have like that like orchestral vocal music going on, and every time we would me and my buddies would play PUBG online, whenever we
yeah.
were dropping in we would go oh like that.
Yeah, I think you bring that up. I'm remembering all of the really cool. There were awesome shots.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like they sat down in a room and was like, guys, we don't have a script, but look at all this concept art we
Well-
have. Like look at these scenes that we can do.
Now as we move in, we've kind of been bouncing between the future and the past a little bit, but
A little bit in the present. Have
little
there
bit.
been any video games?
or I mean the present. I mean there have been. Before we get to that, I need
Okay.
to tell one quick story.
Yes, please.
The first and only time that I have ever successfully started a slow clap in my life was at the Godzilla 2014 movie in theaters.
Really?
Yep, because I was so just amped when he like reached in and like pulled open Muto's mouth and just like
breathed in,
energy
yeah.
barfed into it and then tore its head off. I just sat there and I just went,
And everybody,
and everyone in the theater just started erupting. It was a traditional slow clap. I was like, you know what? I'm okay with this moment.
I remember kind of on that a little off topic, but Revenge of the Sith, I was the only one who loudly shouted yes and applauded when Darth Vader killed all the kids. Because people turned around and looked at me. I'm like, what? If he didn't do this, I would have walked out of this movie. Like he was up until this point, he was really being a little sad sack. Like I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So what
But you were asking about video games though, so I was doing
Yeah.
some research on that, and I gotta say the library of Godzilla video games is horrendously disappointing.
I feel abysmal. At best.
So obviously I haven't played all of them because there are a quadrillion of them.
Yeah.
Dating, I mean, all the way back, like to the like original
Probably
Nintendo.
80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they
and so-
just
The majority of them are like the vast majority of them are Mortal Kombat style
fighters. So you're fighting the other monsters.
The other kind were sort of like almost like Rampage style.
I was just going to say Rampage.
Go destroy the city and accumulate points.
Because that's like the best way you could do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it wouldn't be good.
And I get it. But I mean, every single one I watched, I was like, this looks like a cheap reskin. There was one that was out for Game Boy Color. It was called like Godzilla oh gosh, I don't even remember, but it was the one for Game Boy Color. And I was watching a video clip of it. There was no music. It was literally Godzilla walking in, you hear his footsteps go, boom, boom. And then he would breathe in and go,
oh my.
boom.
So they didn't even have music.
No music. And like, I was like,
well, they were saving, memory for the processor speed.
Give up a little bit of it. You don't need that much processor speed.
Now, I just kind of had a little cool inspiration. Like a cool Godzilla game would be if you were playing Godzilla nowadays, especially like an open world sort of or open city kind of concept.
Yeah.
Your goal is to protect the city. So your health bar is the city's destruction level if you're fighting other monsters. So you could be a fighter game.
Do you think that would be like dissatisfying though? Like if you're playing,
there could be
Godzilla,
different modes where you destroy the city or you're defending it.
Like that game Burnout where you had to try to cause as much mayhem as you possibly could.
And like there could be cool multiplayer things where it could be like a 4-player match where you have 3 other monsters either trying to destroy the city and you're defending it, or you're all trying to destroy it, who can do the most damage.
Right.
It'd be a fun, kind of a cool concept, but I feel like that would just get real old. Unless it was kind of became like Earth Defense Force, EDF. I don't know if you've played those games.
Oh, I love EDF. Those games are...
If you could make it so it's like swarms of monsters, I guess.
Right.
But even then, you're Godzilla, you're Dead Space slow. You're clunky. I don't know how. I feel like it would be a cool free game, like kind of like a Fortnite.
Honestly, I might be cool with seeing a Godzilla game where you're in charge of defeating Godzilla, where you're like the head of this special ops army unit, again akin to Earth Defense Force.
Just a bunch of different monsters too.
A bunch of different monsters. Yeah,
like Godzilla could pop up and be like kind of like he could help it. He could be good, or you can't do anything against him.
And then of course he would have to be the final boss.
He would be, but he's like a storm that rolls in every now and then. Yeah, that'd be cool.
And honestly, we need to add Earth Defense Force to our list. Nobody knows what that is.
My brother would be a great guy. He plays that. I don't know if he still does, but he has weekly with friends from all different states where they get on in the morning, like on Saturday mornings, and they have I don't know if it's called like prestige. That's what I know it as, like where you keep leveling past and like it's astronomical the hours they put in. Like levels that they have.
And not to fully digress, but so EDF, for you guys who don't know, it's this game series that just barely made it over from Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, like it barely got translated. And you fight giant insects, aliens, and robots.
And you're like amped up dudes in like power suits.
It is so much fun. Yeah. I have the new one. I haven't beaten it.
But it's cool because there's like people running around. You have to defend parts of the city.
It's a great 2-player game because you can sit down on the couch and just play for hours.
It's a nice split screen game.
Every time you like beat a level, you gain more armor. So you're stronger for the next time you play that level, and you get new weapons. It's great.
And there's a billion levels.
I would love to see, and we're kind of in the future of the franchise now. I would love to see a Godzilla video game where you're like that. You're the super soldier that's fighting Godzilla in various stages.
Or other monsters,
Yeah, and make it a little arcadey. I think that's the pitfall that Godzilla falls into sometimes is people try to make it too story-like, but it's a
Which
giant...
maybe I think the first one had the first movie, or 2014 had a little bit of trouble. I think this next one's going to be a lot more action.
And it needs to be because you're watching an arcade game. You're watching Rampage, the game.
It's like, I don't want to hear the guys talking about how much they love killing John Wick's dog. I want to see John Wick whooping ass past that point,
Yeah. Which I still have not seen John Wick. I need to get on that.
Man, it is a type of violence for anybody who hasn't seen it that is brutal. And you realize how awesome, more awesome Keanu Reeves is. Really.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And if you see those training, how much training he puts into these films, he is just a god. Yeah.
But no, I think that if they do it right with this next Godzilla movie, I'll give it a chance to see what they do with Kong Skull or the next Kong with Godzilla.
This is a big deal. They're bringing in very famous monsters into it's almost a remake of the second King or Godzilla movie, I believe, when they started bringing in all these other monsters.
Oh, and also we didn't talk about this, how they originally made the Godzilla sound. Have you looked into that?
I read a little bit, but yeah, please, I didn't. Not enough.
I'm trying to see that. Yeah, so the sound effect, it was created by dragging a leather glove coated in like a pine tar resin across the strings of a bass.
That is so cool. And I'm going to tell all of our listeners, if you get a chance, go on YouTube and watch some videos of Foley artists and sound designers. It's amazing stuff. How you will be shocked at how they make like the sound of people walking through grass, or like how they make the sound of someone getting hit by a punch or something and make it sound so realistic. But one of the coolest ones there, if you get a chance, watch, there was a Star Wars behind the scenes of like one of the original box trilogies, you know, one of the special edition discs.
Sure.
But they talked about how they made all the laser blasts, how they made Chewbacca's noises. And it's just dudes holding microphones up to stuff, hitting it with other stuff, and trying to just mess with it. It's like kids playing with a microphone. It's really awesome.
And I think that, and that was one of the big things too for the 2014 Godzilla. They were saying that they had, their biggest obstacle was making his roar sound good.
And unique.
And it has to be, because that's Godzilla's roar is the most iconic part.
It's like the T-Rex roar in Jurassic Park.
Right.
If I heard that just out of context, I know what dinosaur that is.
Right.
You know, I know what that you have. And I don't think Godzilla's scream has really changed from the
too much.
Not much. It's always had almost that screechy.
Yeah.
And it had like the same, like, I don't know if you call it like a trill or like musicality to it, like a lilt. A lilt. Yeah. So,
and it's so defining. Like when you know, when you hear that screech anywhere, you know it's Godzilla, and you know that you're in for something good.
He's pissed.
Yeah.
Yep. He's coming.
And I don't know. I mean, what do you want to see from the future? Like,
I
from this movie onward. Anyway.
I think the movie, like we said, kind of has to be a lot more action. I'd like to see, you know, it's going to be a lot of people in a lab looking at screens.
Right.
What's his face? Who's in it? The Japanese actor.
What's his name?
He's in a lot of stuff, but he's the best looking scared at the camera. Just like it's his number one go-to. It's just mouth open, like horror. Yeah. Like he's just in it, and it's just gonna be that. And Millie Bobby Brown again doing the same thing. And then isn't that Vera Farmiga's in it as well? She's very good. I think it's Vera Farmiga.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah. I think she has an Oscar too.
Yeah, I should probably know her name.
Vera Farmiga. She was in The Departed.
Yeah, she was in The Conjuring.
Yes. Ooh. She played those terrible con artists. I urge everybody, if you like The Conjuring, I mean, they're great in the movie, but the real life people are terrible human beings.
I think we talked about that on the show before.
I will keep prefacing, they are nothing but snake oil salesmen. And anyone who says mediums, do not buy into that. It's just terrible. I think it's abusing people. You know,
at a certain point. I mean, that's another topic for another day.
That is another podcast.
That's a whole other series. Yep. But yeah, guys, we're kind of running out of time here.
Go see Godzilla, the new one.
Yeah, and honestly,
check it out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we would love for you guys to drop us a comment or an email. And we want to start doing some more mini-sodes too. So we would love to discuss some of your guys' comments in the next mini-sode.
Who's your favorite monster in this universe?
Yes, that's a good
why?
One.
Yeah, let us know.
And as we've announced kind of a little bit in the past, we do have a YouTube channel up and running now.
We do.
As of right now, I think we just have our like podcast audiograms.
A lot of back catalog stuff. Yeah. But there's more stuff coming.
Yeah, soon. We're working on a lot of really, really big, fun ideas. Yeah. So I think you guys will really like what you're seeing. But I think that's it for now. Dave, you got anything else?
No. Everybody just keep sharing, telling your friends. Numbers are growing. We just, like we said, I think in the last week's episode, we just hit our 1,000 listen mark. Yeah. So we're beyond that by now, but it was just a really cool moment.
Yeah. We like blazed past that. Yeah. I was like, man, that's super cool.
So you guys are doing just as much work as we are. So we really appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it. We love you, nerds.
Love you.
And we will be seeing you guys next Friday.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. The next franchise we'll be unpacking is Avatar: The Last Airbender. But in the meantime, feel free to drop us a line with any questions, comments, or future episodes at franchiseunpacked@gmail.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and Spotify, and be sure to share so we can keep these episodes coming your way. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.